Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversation with Shenila, where we explore the stories, leadership, and experiences that shape our future and profession. I'm Sheena Makhani, and I'm delighted to have you with us today. Every profession evolves. As industries change, technologies advances, and organizations face new challenges. The way we lead projects must evolve as well. One of the clearest reflection of that evolution is the PMBOK guide. Whenever a new edition is released, project professionals naturally ask, what's new? But today I would like to explore a different question. Why? Why was a new edition needed? What thinking shaped it? What conversations behind the scene made it happen? And what should practitioners understand before they even open the guide? To help us answer those questions, I'm truly honored to welcome who helped shape the PMBOK Guide 8. Please join me in welcoming Heberth Campos. Herbert, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on Conversation with Shenila.
Hey, Shenila, thank you very much. We have been discussing about this podcast for some weeks ago, and I'm happy to be here with you. So thank you very much for this invitation.
Thank you. So, before we dive into PMBOK Guide 8, I would love our audience to get to know the person behind the contribution. So, Heb, can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little about your professional journey and what experiences eventually led you to become a contributor to PMBOK Guide 8?
I am describing myself as an passionate about technology and project management, and basically, I've started on project management since 2006 when I was studying at the university. I am systems engineer.
Oh,
Um, I live here in Guatemala City, in Central America. So when I learned project management at the university, I really enjoyed that class. I started applying those tools that I learned in that class on my job. I used to be software developer in that time, you know. But the funniest part is that the first edition of the PMBOK that I was able to read was the version 4 in 2010, even though the version 4 was released on 2008. But that was my first touch point with PMI and PM book. So basically, I've started using some of the project management tools. Then I become a project manager. I used to work for Xerox and Atos. And then I moved to more to the management side of the technology. I was working as vice president for technology services in Atala Global and here in Guatemala. And well, it's a, a company with different sites in Latin America and as well United States. And then I became a CTO at Forza Logistics Group, which is a large company in Central America. And now I am working on different initiatives and different companies as advisor and offering different kind of services as well related with project management.
okay. So now I would like you asking, something personal. So when you first learned that you have been selected as a contributor to PMBOK Guide 8, right? So what was your very first thought?
Well, actually, my first contribution as reviewer was on the PMBOK 7th edition. Yeah, so
Okay.
that was my first shot as a reviewer. And just imagine, I think it was on 2019 uh, when I become or I was selected to be part of the reviewer team for the version number 7. I was so excited, you know, because I never thought when I started reading the version 4 on 2010 and that I was gonna be part of the PM book sometime in my life, and
Mhm.
just imagine to see my name on the credits of the book, it was just incredible, So I was very excited at that time. So I lived that journey that PMI had on that time, because the seventh edition was a huge milestone for PMI in the terms that the PMBOK 7 changed all the PMBOK history from version number 1 to version number 6. Um, so it was a cornerstone. It changed everything. And then on the PMBOK version 8, um, we started working on 2024 on the book. So as well, I was very excited to see the future of the PMBOK and understand what's the new road that PMI wanted to pursue on the new version.
Great. So let's begin with the question that many practitioners have been asking, right? That PMBOK Guide 7 represented one of the most significant shifts in the history of the guide, right? By introducing principles and value delivery. So naturally, many people are wondering why was PMBOK Guide 8 needed? What changes in the professionals made this next edition necessary?
Yeah, well, we need to talk about a little bit about the history of the PM box, So basically, if we see the different versions of the PMBOK, we're gonna see that we have a cycles between 4 years or 5 years. So the first version of the PMBOK was released in 1996. The second version in 2000, third version 2004, uh, the fifth version on the and 2013, fourth version 2008. Sorry, going on. So every 4 years, you will see a new PMBOK on the market. So the change in 2021 was uh, driven most uh, likely because in that time, if you remember, the Scrum thing and Agile stuffs were uh, having a lot of audience in that year. And I think that PMI at that time wanted to uh, rebuild the concept of project management in that year. Um, what happens on the PMBOK number or version 8 is that PMI did a major research in the PM in the project management community. So in order to create a new version, you need to have different phases. I mean, it's a project, and the first phase was qualitative investigation. Um, where they were trying to get more insights from different point of view from different project management communities around the globe, different perspectives from different project managers. Uh, so on the phase two on the investigation, they did a major research and they have interview around uh, 3,000 people to get the insights about what is needed on the project management community, So in that investigation, PMI found some important information, right? And some of that information was that the most of the community they supported the principle-based standard and regarding the PMBOK 7. In the other side, 80% of the um, of the responses were positive on returning the process groups, and as well to reintegrate the domain structure and associate the domain structure with the different areas that we had on the previous versions of the PMBOK. So basically, they had 48,000 data points on that um, investigation. So the PMBOK version 8 is the most data-driven PMBOK released ever. Um, so I think that now the product that we have is more focused on the needs on and desire of the project management community worldwide, and as well
Hmm.
uh, trying to get the most important things from the PMBOK 7 and the previous versions, the process-oriented versions, and to merge something that creates a very interesting product and a very, very mature product now.
Great. So, were there any particular needs from practitioners or emerging industry trends that the contributor team wants to address through this edition?
Um, yeah, regarding the edition, I think that the the driver was to acknowledge that the different industries had different approaches on how they tackle the project management. Uh, in the software industry, we're working more in agile frameworks. Probably in constructions, they are working more in a predictive way. But the intention was to create a product that was able to apply on different industries, but taking in consideration that now the project management is more complex than before, and trying to have in the center of everything the value. I think that value is something that you will see in the PMBOK 8, right? And the most
Hmm.
important thing is how you are going to be delivering value to the projects. And as well, the this trend or concept about value, we have been hearing about it some years ago, and now we are used to see more PMO changing the name of PMO to BMO, to Value Management Office. So I think that the PMBOK 8 is a more value centric, and that's the major shift, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So that sounds good, right? The PMBOK 8 is more value centric. Yeah. And as we read it, we came across this thing. So, whenever experienced professionals from different parts of the world, right? When they come together, there are naturally different viewpoints, right? So, how were those perspectives discussed and ultimately reconciled?
Yeah, the construction process is very particular, I will say.
Okay.
So, um, when this project, this PMBOK 8, we were 25 people on the core team. One person acting as the volunteer, as the leader of the project, 12 writers, and 12 reviewers. And the nice part is that we don't know each other between the writers and the reviewers on the process. And actually, you need to sign an NDA or to have some agreements with PMI that you will not disclose that you are part of the core team until the PMBOK gets released. Um,
Yeah.
so as the process uh, go like this, so the writers start writing each of the chapters of the PMBOK. As soon as the chapter is completed, then they ship that product to the reviewers team. So the 12 reviewers, we need to read the chapters, and you put your comments of every paragraph. So yeah, basically we need to review every single sentence on the PMBOK. And if you have any comment, then there's a mechanism where you put your comments and you identify which paragraph or which part could be or is not easy to read, is not understandable, or if you are thinking about more complex revision, is that probably doesn't match with any other process, for example, or it doesn't match for a good term. And well, basically, you need to comment everything there. So that goes back to the writers team to review our comments, and they discuss the comments on their side, and well, they decide to accept, uh, reject, or probably to take some parts of the comments that we are putting together. And well, that's it. The regarding the main question that you had is, uh, we are working with different uh, countries, different
Hmm.
cultures,
Hmm.
and we need to align in a way of on some stuffs regarding the PMBOK. So yeah, there were some kind of specific points where we needed to discuss, and to justify or to give your opinion, because at the end,
Okay.
as reviewer, you give your opinion, and
Hmm.
that's what it's important. And well, I think that uh, the leader of the PMBOK 8, well, that guy needs to collaborate and to deal with all the comments and the stuffs between the writers and the uh, reviewers.
Great. So I think one thing I find fascinating is that, every edition of PMBOK 8 guide reflects, right? More than updated content. It reflects the evolution of our profession. So from your perspective, what mindset shift? Already you talked about the values, but I would like to go for the mindset shift you hope practitioners make as they begin exploring PMBOK Guide 8.
Um, yeah, when I believe that the overall mindset of the PMBOK is to create a product, uh, where we're at in its standard, I would say, uh, that is able to change the perspective that we used to have in previous versions, right? To be more flexible, um, but have a structure. And I think that that's the good part. For the PMBOK 7, it was hard for the project management, or the project manager, junior, that were initiating their career, because they didn't have that kind of structure. Even though we had the process guide that was released as well by PMI, in order to mix the content on the PMBOK 7 and the process guide, and try to make a collaboration between these two guidelines. Um, but now I think that the holistic mindset is try to be more um, flexible, I would say, to try to tailor the how you apply the project management principles, the processes, the tools, techniques, and to your project. Um, something that is very nice and it's very open is when you see the definition of each process. That part on the book that you have the inputs, the tools and techniques, and the outputs, you will have at the end of every input, tool, and techniques and output, you will have at the end the etc., etc., as a list of tools. And having the etc. is just the meaning of saying, hey, this is the inputs, tools, and techniques and outputs that uh, we acknowledge that we can use in this process. But
Hmm.
we know that probably those are not only the tools that you will be able to use in a process. So if you find any other tool, uh, technique or input or output that might be uh, important for that process, you can use it as soon as it's important for your organization, for your project, and then you are free to use it. So it's more like a guide, it's more like suggestion of which tools do you want to use. But at the end, is the most important thing is the mindset of the project management, the mindset of the project managers to understand that you will have this kind of good practices on the PMBOK and how you are going to be applying those practices in your organization, in your project. So at the end, you will need to tailor it to your needs, you know.
Makes sense. So have I think I'm sure you have observed it, and definitely me too, and I think many people that these days we see on LinkedIn, on social media, difference between PMBOK 7, PMBOK 8, what's new in PMBOK 8, what you have to study at PMBOK 8. So there are lots of content, right, coming in social media on what's new, what is the difference of PMBOK 8. So what I would like to know from you, because again, some looking at something from the contributor, from the author, one of the author perspective is bit different, right? So many professionals, approach a new edition by looking at the difference, and that's what we are looking at right now on social media, right? That those differences are people are approaching. So instead, what looking at the differences, right? What do you hope readers truly understand about the purpose and intent of PMBOK Guide 8?
Yeah. Um, so if we are talking about the major changes or in the structure, that's what you want
The
to
changes
deep dive on
definitely,
this.
but what I would like more to understand is that that when, for example, I approach, right, PMBOK 8, right? So from which thought I should approach PMBOK 8. Despite of that, I have already read PMBOK 7, right? Now I'm approaching PMBOK 8 from a project professional perspective, right? So what intent, what purpose I should see there first?
Yeah. I think that um, in the structure, I would say you will always find the two parts of the book per se, the standard for project management as well the PMBOK per se. Um, so that structure will remain on the book uh, as always. Um, Something that we have carrying on from the PMBOK 7 to the PMBOK 8 is the project management principles, which was the first uh, appearance on the PMBOK 7. We had 12 uh, uh, project management principles in the version 7. Now we have six. And basically, those six are divided um, in three different categories. But the essence of the principles that you found in in the PMBOK 7 will reside as well on the PMBOK 8. And the mindset is divided in three aspects, right? In the being proactive, ownership, and value driven. So it's more, it's structured in a different way. It's structured um, in a way that I think that if you if you believe or if you think about your daily work as project manager, you will be easily um, connect the tasks, the behaviors that you are having in a daily basis to this mindset. You know, that's something good. Um, Something as well that the the audience is gonna see is that uh, we got back the that table of the processes that we we missed on the PMBOK 7. They were not, it was not process oriented. You will have this new table here with 40 processes, um, which is nice. And the inputs, techniques, tools, and outputs as well. We have that present here. And I read the comment over there that's saying, yeah, the PMBOK 7 as well. They have the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs, but they had like a list of potential tools. It was look like a library, right? Since the PMBOK 7 was not process oriented,
Yeah.
then we were not able to identify which belongs to each of the process. In the
Hmm.
PMBOK 8, yes, we do have this kind of structure. So I think that that's more or less the the major focus. If someone reads the PMBOK 7 and goes to PMBOK 8, you will find more structure, and the architecture of the book is changed. So I think that this it's more um, as well. This is more um, friendly for someone who reads the PMBOK. If you remember, on the
Hmm.
PMBOK 6 and 5, 4, and previous versions,
Hmm.
when you were reading the PMBOK, you felt, or at least in my case, it was feeling like this was a very, very cold book. Um, it was not a nice reading, you know. Now it's more a human approach to read, it's more friendly reading. So I think that the audience will enjoy reading again this PM Book 8.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, have before we conclude, I would like to end every episode in a series that will call, the 1 minute takeaway. So, if you want to our audience to remember just one thing before they open PMBOK Guide 8, what would you like that one message to be?
Um, yeah, I think that the message is oriented to enjoy the book, enjoy the reading. I think that the reading for those people that were able to get the certification for previous version, um, you will feel this a little bit nostalgic because you will find some of the essential content of the structure of the previous versions of the PMBOK, but with most updated approach, most broader information. So it's more oriented to the current needs of the projects in every industry or environment. So I think that you need to go read the book and with an open mind. And I'm pretty sure that the product that you will read, the standard that you will read, um, it's going to be adding value to your daily work.
Great. Thank you, Hep, for sharing this with our audience. And I think sharing your insights actually, which were very important to know for the audience. What I appreciate most about this conversation is that we have gone beyond actually discussing what has changed in PMBOK Guided, because we have explored the thinking, the intent, and the collaborative effort behind its development. So, for project professionals around the world, hearing directly from someone who contributed to the guide offers a perspective that simply can't be gained reading its pages alone, right? So, thank you once again for being part of Conversation with Shenila. It has been a privilege to have you with us. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Behind PMBOK 8 Guide series, or you can say Behind PMBOK Guide 8 series. I hope today's conversation has given you a deeper appreciation, not only for what has changed, but most importantly, why those changes matters. And in our next episode, we will move from the story behind the guide to its practical application as we explore reading PMBOK Guide 8 right, what every practitioner should know. So, if today's conversation sparked new questions or perspectives, we would love to hear from you. What is the one question you would ask PMBOK Guide 8 contributor? Share it in the comments below. And if you enjoy this episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with your colleagues and fellow project professionals. Until next time, I am Sheena Mahani. Thank you for joining Conversation with Shenila. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep the conversation going. Bye and take care.